So with this, moving forward to our next panel discussion, which focuses on the future of observability and AIOps from metrics to autonomous remediation. For this, the moderator is Ms. Deepa Casey, the Head of Infrastructure and Cloud from Vodafone Intelligent Solutions. So she is the Head of Infrastructure and Cloud at Vodafone Intelligent Solutions, bringing extensive experience in IT infrastructure, cloud transformation and technology operation. A strategic technology leader, she is passionate about driving innovation, operational excellence and build resilience customer-centric digital platform. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Deepa. With this, the panel members are Satish MR, the DevOps leader of Apna, Pawan Kumar M, the Director of Delivery Engineering from People, Praveen Singh, Director of Engineering from Nielsen, Arun Reddy, Head of Payments, Observability and Tech Operations from Airbnb, and Lalit Mittal, VP Platform Engineering from IT Operations and QA, Straight Street Investment Management. Can you give a huge round of applause for the moderator and the panel members?
So today is a very interesting panel discussion. So we have 120 years of experience here. So industry is, as you all know, industry is moving from alerts, metrics, logs to observability. Right? Previously, monitoring was really very important for all of us. Now we are moving to observability. Some of us are even implemented, and we are envisioning the system that can sense, react, and act autonomously. Right? It's able to reason and act autonomously, and that's the vision 2035 that we have. Right? And here is a power-packed session. I would say it is like 45 to 50 minutes of a panel discussion with the top industry voices. And I'm really honored to have this discussion and the view of all the panel members in terms of in this space of observability. So I'll give a quick round of introduction of myself and pass it on to the panel members. So I head infrastructure for Vodafone Intelligent Solutions. Vodafone Intelligent Solution is a technology provider for Vodafone group of companies, and we are located in 65 operating entities. And I head infrastructure there. I have 25 years of experience and really passionate about the subject of observability, because some of you who are here would really know what really managing infrastructure or application which has the expectation of 24/7 availability means, right? And this is a very hot topic, and you would have known how easy or difficult this subject is. And here we have top industry voices talking about this subject. So over to you for a quick introduction.
Hi team, I'm Satish. I'm heading DevOps and Infra now. Hardly I have nearly 12 plus years of experience in DevOps, and with respect to Apna, it's a blue-collar job platform, and we are an agentic AI startup called as Blue Machine, and like to explore the things the friends here. Yeah, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Pawan. I am the Director for Delivery at People Inc. Over the last 2 decades, I've helped the organization modernize the way they build, test, deploy the software, and operate technology at scale. Right? Currently, I handle 4 different verticals: platform engineering, one is the cloud platform engineering, and the site reliability engineering, and the DevOps teams. Right? So, super excited to be a part of this panel, and looking forward to learning from you all. Thank you.
Hey everyone, this is Praveen. So I work at Nielsen. I'm a global director and head of engineering for Nielsen Marketing Cloud. So we do targeting business for running campaign. In terms of DevOps, I have been a key kind of leader on the DevOps side as well. I look forward to the interaction. Thank you.
Hey everyone, this is Arun. I'm part of Airbnb, leading observability and tech operations for Airbnb's global payments. Along with it, I have a decade of experience in payments and experience in building 2 GCCs in India. My perspectives will be more on-ground operations perspectives on observability and operating observability. Looking forward to this discussion and excited to be part of this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun. Hi, my name is Lalit. I am part of Stream Investment Management. We are the fourth largest investment management bank in the world, operating across 70 plus countries, manage 6 trillion plus assets. My role as Vice President of IT spans across platform engineering, quality assurance, and production engineering. But over the last 2 decades, I have led various teams from a diversity perspective. I have led DevOps, IAM, application engineering, and I am something which is very close to my heart is production engineering, and that's why I am here, and I look forward to talking more about my and my fellow panelists' experiences in the observability stack and how we are moving forward. And I'm very fascinated that we have a very diverse panel from hospitality to media and pure manufacturing. So yeah, I look forward to that. And picking on Deepa, I think in this room we have close to 1,500 plus years of experience, not only on the stage, right? Even if we take 100 as a number and 15 years as a number. So we have a lot of experience in the space. I would certainly like to keep it engaging just before lunch. And yeah, if you have any questions, yeah, feel free to join the conversation. That will be better. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So every observability tools out there in the market currently promises that in the future, right, at least 90% of the incidents or issues that comes in the production environment or any environment will be autonomously resolved. Now, Gartner also predicted that by 2028 or 2029, early 2029, there will be a 90% increase in the resolution time of the incidents. Now, cutting the hype off, my question is to Lalit, right? What is your view, Lalit? By 2035, will observability evolve from a monitoring function to an autonomous decision-making system that can sense, respond, and act autonomously?
That's a very loaded question. Thank you, Deepa, for that. And I will take my attempt on that. I will say certainly we are going that way, and I will say why 2035. It might be even before that, because we are already seeing telemetry being collated and interpreted by various tools and at various stages. I think in each of our organization, some way we are already, at least if not at the autonomous state, at least at the correlation stage where in a production call, no one is asking what is the issue, right? I think the way I am seeing even starting now, where the agents have already telling us these are the alerts that came, this is what I see, and these may be probable causes, right? So I think we are already at a correlation stage where a lot of telemetry being interpreted and examined even before the call start, which is great. So coming back, how we will see it in next 10 years? I think certainly the intent is to make issues self-healed, self-resolved, self-documented, and create a knowledge base which is essentially more standard, can be read by agents, and we can go from there. I think, having said that, I think the success will depend on how each one of us in the room will take that as a challenge. Right? So, if I have to put it in an analogy, right? I think the observability maybe few years back, I can relate it to like our individual apartment owners WhatsApp group, right? Whatever information you need or you don't need, everything is there, right? And it's very difficult to make sense out of it. Whether should I look at this WhatsApp group, which has advertisements from food to e-khatas discussion to pet discussion, and how the what's happening, what your neighbor is doing, and so on. So some people can make sense out of that WhatsApp group, some people may not. But essentially, look at the future. If we just put it in that context, if WhatsApp gives you a agent where you can set rules what you want to look and what you don't want to look, right? I think that's, to that analogy, I think that's where we are going in observability, where there's a lot of alerts coming day in, day out. We have millions of alerts which are coming in every organization. Some are coming from tools which were set up 10-20 years back, and some of you could have relate, right? In some organizations, I see Dynatrace there, Splunk, Kibana, Grafana, Datadog, Elastic, you name it, every tool is there for some piece of monitoring, right? And it's sending some alert to someone. But who's using that alert? I don't know. Maybe some alerts are being used, some are just being there, but every alert was there for a reason. But no one is correlating or cleaning up that, right? So I think coming back, I certainly feel that by 2035, we will not be in that mess. We will have a more streamlined system of which alert should be sent to whom, why, and what is the action item that alerts need to happen, right? So I think I certainly feel that by 2035 the question will not be, oh, at 2 a.m. in the morning you will get a call and get onto the call to solve this issue. Maybe you will get information in the morning. Last night these were the incidents that happened and this agent resolved it, right? So I think that's where I think we are going from a AIOps perspective, and it's very fascinating being in production support for close to 2 decades. I hope that if I am younger, I would have been an advantage. I don't need to get into those calls and being before the lunch. One very funny incident that I can tell each one of this so that you can have a hearty laugh. It was some 10-15 years back. I will not name where I was. Maybe you can look up at LinkedIn. So someone called me and said, "Where are you?" And it was like 10-11 in the night. I was on a P1 call. I said, "I am in P1. Okay, cut the call. After 1 hour, same person called me and said, "Where are you?" "I'm still in P1. We have an issue going. You are in parking for the last 1 hour." So that's where we are coming from, right? So I think it's very fascinating, and I certainly like to hear more what others are doing. But certainly we are going towards autonomous, self-healing AIOps sort of platforms where the observability will more act like a first level of defense rather than a monitoring system where we keep on getting alerts and someone needs to look and see what needs to be acted and what not. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Lalit. I really liked your analogy of apartment WhatsApp group. Hopefully we can find a solution and maybe we can save at least 30-40 minutes every day. Right, so considering what Lalit has said, right, repeatedly when we have major incidents or even when we ask our colleagues, they are saying that there is a lot of noise and they are trying to find the signal from the noise. Right, and I think that is what we are all after, right? Finding the signal from the noise. As Lalit indicated, there are a lot of monitoring systems, and at the moment our situation, most of the organizations are going through the situation where we need multiple engineers to figure out what each of the monitoring systems are telling us. Some of you at least reckon with this? Okay, now coming to microservices. How many of us in this room know about microservices or have used microservices? Anyone? Yes, I think there is a lot of friends, right? Now there is microservices produces loads of errors, right? And when we move into the observability space, right? As AI generated applications and microservices and distributed systems continue to grow exponentially, how should observability platform evolve to eliminate fatigue that services only actionable insights? That is what I'm saying, that how to identify the signal from the noise, especially from microservices. My question is to Arun.
Thank you, Deepa. Alert fatigue has been a most used term, not likable but unlikable used term, not now but 2-3 years back. Like we as an organization moved from monolith to SOA, and especially from the payments perspective, it becomes very tricky to make sure our monitoring is working well. Because what happens in India on UBI may be very different from what happens in the US on Apple Pay, right? So we ended up setting more than 10,000 monitors, and you all can imagine what would happen. We were dealing with 90% noise, and it was almost inactionable situation for us. We invested a lot, came up with intelligent monitors, anomaly detection, combined monitors together, cleaned our data, structured it, and fortunate to bring the noise from 90% to less than 30%. So noise alert fatigue is sorted somewhat. And wherever the noise was coming, we started sending it to AI agents, and that's what is happening, and I think that will continue to happen. But alert for fatigue has changed its shape now. Now, with more alerts going to the automated remediation and controls, what we are seeing is there are two trends. One, the alerts are creating PRs automatically at the rate more than what we can review. If I take an analogy, since Lalit has taken a good analogy, it's like Silk Board has a lot of junction, a lot of traffic. So we built a beautiful flyover. Now the traffic builds up at HSR layout, right? Very similar situation. Now alert noise is not a big problem, but alert the PRs that were generated by automated PRs by the AI agents, that's becoming a challenge. And how do we put controls there is the kind of noise that we are seeing. Then the second kind of challenge, sometimes alerts overcorrect things. Like for example, they have corrected thresholds to reduce the noise of a noisy alert to such an extent that when an incident happened, the incident was not detected, right? So this is a new different problem, how do we solve it? So I think the alert fatigue 2.0, if I can call it, is not about number of alerts we are hitting, but it is about whether we can trust the AI agents and whether we can rely on them. I think that's how the future alert fatigue going to be, and we'll see how it will be solved.
Yes, thanks, Arun.
So just to add to Arun, right, he made a very important point. I think alert fatigue stems from the fact of lack of trust, right? I think why we have so many alerts, I think that's because someone thought this will break, and we keep putting on that, right? So I think whenever we are looking at flood fatigue, always related to the lack of trust. And I think if we need to get over this problem, we need to have some trust in the agents that we are going to build, or anything that we are going to put, right? So I think that's how we should look at that, and talking about analogy, right? So think about how many of you actually checked when that big basket gave you that packet. You just keep it inside, right? What's inside? Do you ever check that is it the same things that we ordered? No, because we know it will be same, and even if it's not same, you can go to big basket and say, yeah, this is missing, and that's seamless, right? So I think that's the sort of mentality that we need to have with alert and AI agents together. That we need to have that sort of trust that if something breaks, I have configured an agent that will fix it, right? That's how those people will stop looking at those 10,000 monitors that Arun talked about. So we need to build that trust, and that trust to bring in AI agent is nothing but bring your code, right? So agent is not doing any magic. Agent is as intelligent as what you coded for, right? So think AI agent as bring your code, whatever you are writing, you are actually coding it and configuring it, right? So that's how we should look at, and that may reduce some of this fatigue that Arun talked about. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lalit. And now thinking about the trust. Trust is a very important factor now, and even now, how many of us actually trust AI agents? Now we are in 2026. Trust is very less, right? And now, but we are talking about 2035. So any time between 2030 to 2035, right? Now we are talking about systems or agents that can sense reason and act autonomously instead of human beings, right? But what we are saying is, can we really trust AI, right? To sense, reason and act autonomously. For critical production systems, do we still need a human in the loop validation? And where exactly the line should be drawn? So these are the questions in the mind, right? So Pawan, do you have any thought on this?
I would look at it in a slightly different perspective. Instead of asking, should we trust AI, we should be asking, has AI earned the trust for it to be able to go ahead and act autonomously, right? It's like just like having a new engineer joining the team. Day one, you do not give all the production access for them to make the critical changes, right? So slowly and gradually, they will earn the responsibility, and eventually they'll get there, right? So I would like to see the AI taking the same journey in that sense, right? So I'm a big believer of something called as a progressive autonomy. That's where you look at AI taking multiple stages of responsibility. Stage one, you look at having the AI observe and recommend, right? So let it inject all the data, right, from your metrics to traces to logs to previous incident, probably the recent changes in terms of what kind of deployment that has happened. Based on all this, it would observe what kind of recommendation it will give, and then you make the assessment, right? Has it given the right root cause? Has it given the right next course of action that needs to be taken? So and then you move on to the next stage where you look at giving the AI a responsibility of managing a small low-risk task, easily reversible, a simple restart somewhere, or could be a rollback, a failed release, or could be a scaling of a deployment, things like that, right? So low risk, easily reversible, and then you take a notch above, and then you give the AI a next responsibility of handling the complex tasks, right? So with, of course, a solid guardrails that is put in place for it to make the right decisions. Only after this, then you see hundreds of successful execution that is being done by AI. You have enough and more examples. You are able to trust right now, and then you plug into the fourth stage of putting the AI into production environment. Can it go ahead and act autonomously, right? So that's the different stages that you look for. Now, for the second portion of the question you asked, where do you draw the line? It totally depends on what kind of stage where we are at, where the AI is at, right? So, what is your confidence score? What is the blast radius of the change that you're making? What kind of impact does it have on other subsystem, downstream and upstream system, based on that, right? In case if it involves anything to do with the credibility of the brand or the business impact, if the change is irreversible, then I would always plug in the human, right? So I would not let the organization blindly trust the AI, of course with definite guardrails, but with all the enough and more, AI has proven enough points, then only then you will trust to go ahead and do the changes autonomously in production.
Yeah, I think trust is still less, right? I mean, of course, we need to scale the trust and develop the trust autonomously. Now, when we are talking about AI has not been new, right? So when, I passed out engineering in 2000, we had subject of AI, right? All of you would have, some of you at least so I've learned about AI. AI was a subject. Then, but last 3 to 4 years, AI, the knowledge of AI, the usage of AI has increased exponentially. Now, we started with generative AI. Everyone knows what is generative AI. And I think everyone in this room would have used generative AI. We are using AI to generate contents, and that was one of the big milestone, or I think the game changer. Then we came with agentic AI, and that is what really helps us to execute the tasks. Now, with so much of evolution of generative AI and agentic AI, now, we all are experimenting and in some cases in early stages of implementation of production, right? This using generative AI and agentic AI, how we manage incidents in production, how we create systems that can sense, react, and take actions autonomously. Reason and take actions autonomously. Now, and also, once it's taken action, build a continuous learning loop into this. So, Satish, in your view, how is generative AI and agentic AI evolving for autonomous incident operations, along with learning embedded, so that agents becomes intelligent like humans, right?
Actually, yeah, it's can't replace a human. The thing what we can say is two part we can do. Generative AI look about the MPD only. How soon we can detect the issues itself. Like we will have a intention like infra level, APM level, endpoint level, cloud level. We have to go for a source, like a MCP is what we are doing. Just integrate everything. That way we can detect the issue and we can pinpoint what causing the issue that generative AI can do. Agentic AI will do it. Okay, I know the issue. It will wait for human. Okay, there is an issue happen and a P10 there is a big spike in our deployment. I seen a release cycle. There's a release happen. We need to do a rollback. So for a agentic AI, what will do? It will learn the things, and since we know the pattern already, we can have a predefined runbooks in place instead of waiting for the people. It will do a rollback as soon as possible. That make the system reliable. Agentic AI, we can trust in a minimal way. As we said, we can do, as we said right away, we can able to roll back the deployments for some scenario. I can give another example here is there is a spike in my databases, and what happened is I see there is a spike in a queue itself. What agentic AI can do, it can able to scale up my pod. What will do? There is a hard limit in my databases that prediction. So that way we have to keep on learning the platform. Like before scaling my application, it has scaled my database. It needs to be up, and then we can able to route the traffic. So we need to give an incremental kind of knowledge into it. Then we can try them. It's like a people who's been there as an assistant for us to try to do it. We can able to evaluate it.
I think one of the indicator that can help here is moving away from lagging indicator to leading indicator. Like I think during last many years we have always been consistent on finding that what are the thresholds of, let's say, memory and CPU and other things, which are mostly lagging indicator, which helps you to, be reactive on these things, right? But the world has now moved from this to AI observability, where it's more important to focus on leading indicators, which is like how the microservices are connected, how is there a system or a chain where, like, if certain services goes wrong or there is an issue, how does it impact other systems? So that I think is also very, very helpful to come from I think mean time to resolution to mean time to production of the error or issue.
So, our jobs are becoming increasingly dynamic. All of us agree? Now, in 2000, when we started, I joined as an engineer in an organization, then stepped into management role. The question we frequently get asked is, like, especially when you are in India and you are part of a GCC or a system integrator team, like how many engineers you have onboarded, right? How many work you have insourced, how many engineers, but now everyone is asking how many agents you are building. It's a tough question, right? How many agents your team has? Right, so the world is evolving, the questions are changing, right? So, now we need to envision by 2030, in between 2030 to 2035, how will the role of DevOps engineer, platform engineer evolve, right? With increasing autonomous systems, right? We are thinking of or some of us have already in the path of building autonomous systems, right? How will be the role of the platform engineers, DevOps engineers, and people like me and all of these panelists evolve, right? Your opinion on it, sir?
Actually, the first thing is we need to depend on the base core knowledge itself. AI can help us to solve the issue. Prior to that, we need to focus on the layer itself. But DevOps itself, the first layer is infra. We need to be core on infra itself, how the infra has been set up. Like currently we are in Kubernetes. So we look about the Kubernetes itself. Second is a cloud platform where we are posted, the two layer. And the second layer we look about the kind of pipeline. So how can we build and ship up code in place? Like what kind of matrices need to be there? And third layer is observability. How can able to like as I said, MD detection and resolution based on the platform. And the fourth layer is how can we handle the production systems in place. After these four deep knowledge in place, we can able to build an agent itself. I can add a workflow. Like how can I can able to do a PR itself. I have PTO in place. I can able to tell to PTO this is my PR review. It's need not to push the secrets. It's not supposed to have a kind of one clause in place. These are my PR mandates and all. So that way we can able to build an agent like a kind of an supportive kind of a peer for us to then train us. The core knowledge with respect to the complete infra and then the vision for us. We have to set a vision. Okay, instead of doing repeated tasks, how can I able to build a workflow for me to solve the issue? Instead of doing everyday morning to just start the scripts in place, I can able to detect the agent based on spike, let it scale by its own. So that way leveraging as a kind of a co-peer will be the future, I can say. Like using agentic AI space itself. Like we have a cloud, we have multiple MCPs. Integrating with the MCPs, build our own agent will be a future for us.
So we are thinking of, we are envisioning an era where we don't see a lot of work for level 1 certifications, right? So we are envisioning an era wherein we transition the role of all the DevOps platform engineers into AI-enabled engineers, right? Or AI-first engineers. So you want to add anything on it further?
I think mostly Satish has covered most of the things. One important aspect is when we move from human to agents. One aspect I can think of is that an agent has context which is there already, whereas human who was always there, he also brings context of business, which keeps evolving, right? So I think the right balance in future is always a combination of agents and human. So in the steering guide that we have, we should have agents as well so that we can do a lot with lesser things. But I also believe that there is some human which is important to guide the agent and also understand that if the agent is moving in correct direction or not.
Thank you. No, we have all been through nightmare of handling incidents 24/7, and I remember Lennon's example of being in P1 for 2 hours or even more, right? So I think we are envisioning a sky-fi, I would say, right? Sky-fi is something that you have dreams like sky, right? A sky-fi wherein we are thinking that observability can really replace the reactive incident management that most of us are currently doing, right? So be it we use a system like a Remedy or ServiceNow where system or logs raises a ticket or user logs a ticket and our engineers look into the ticket, understand the logs and resolves incidents, to observability, which actually takes through that and fixes the incidents proactively, even before it happens. Right? We are talking about moving to a world wherein incidents are fixed even before customers really find the impact. And that too 99% of the time. Right? Is it a reality, Pravi? Do you think it could be a reality?
Yeah, I think one of the analogy that I can bring on the table is that several years ago I was working for a supply chain AI company where we had to solve this problem for a steel mill, where there are various motors. If a motor stops for let's say 2 to 3 hours, then the cost for it is in several $100,000 or sometimes even millions. Right? So how did we ensure that there is a predictive asset maintenance, which is like detecting a issue which could have happened in future and trying to make the system go in. I mean, those machines, identifying those motors and machine to be part of the maintenance even before the issue occurs. Right? So the way we solved it is not only include the sensors data which is inside the system, but also include other factors which could be influential in those decisions, right? So again, I'm applying same analogy on this thing as well, where we want to move from finding the issue which is mean time to resolution to going to a matrix which is mean time to prediction, right? So there, one thing which is very, very important for us in this whole thing is to understand that what are the systems which can help us in getting these connections of different system of intelligence that we have, right? Different microservices, how is it connected, and then we can build a knowledge graph so that if there is, like earlier we used to wait for a memory or a CPU to get to that threshold, and then we used to like set alert and then get to it and fix it, and that's the regular thing. Now with more knowledge base coming into picture and we have all the connections of different microservices, how are they connected, we can always recognize it from the pattern which has happened in past. So if several P1 has happened in past because of 3-4 changes in the systems which are outside how a customer is interacting to our system, that can also be a guiding principle for predicting the next issue, right? Which is part of our knowledge base. Right? So these are some of the things that I can think of which can help us definitely to go from taking reactive measure to active measure. Happy to see if there are some other questions from anyone else who can, which can be helpful.
So I think all of that was covered. The only thing that I would like this audience to think about is what's the necessity for being autonomous, right? I think it's not about suddenly someone decide today, okay, now we need everything for agent. I think we need to think about the necessity of that is coming from the explosion of data, right? 20 years back, we did not have so much data or alerts that we need proactive maintenance. So I think the humankind evolves with the need, right? And again coming back to my real life situation, right? So see, you think about 10 years, 15 years back, we used to have window ACs, right? To clear the filter of the window AC, you open it from the front, clear the filter, fix it back, it will cool fine. But then came split ACs. Split ACs are at the height, right? You need to climb and then see if the filter is dirty or not. That's how these AC companies started sending you those apps. Now those apps will tell you, oh, your air filter of your split AC needs to be cleaned, right? So it's not that it is something that was not there before, because the window AC was more accessible. It's at your height, you open it, clean it, and done and dusted. But that's not the case for split AC. You are not able to see with your naked eye that is the air filter dirty or not. It's at the top. You need to climb and do that effort. So I think we should think about AI agent more as a necessity rather than a wish list. If we need to manage the data that is being generated in this world, we need someone who can do it more efficiently than human. And also it's not about moving human work to agents. I will see it as moving humans to do the intelligent work, right? Because at the end of the day, who wants to look at that monitor and say, tick, okay, this alert is false or negative or positive, right? If you ask me as an engineer, I will never want to do that, right? I think that's the context that we need to look at when we are talking about AIOps. It's not more about the technology being used because it's out there. The technology is being used because the need of that is there today.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. No, it's an interesting thought process, right? How the world is changing. Now we are thinking about having agents and human beings, everyone in the same ecosystem. Now, if agents take an autonomous operation, right? If there is a problem that has happened, you can't just blame that agents have done it, right? Is it possible? Can we blame that agents have done it? Of course, all organizations are trying to see, okay, when we are building autonomous agentic system, how we can still establish the explainability, the governance and responsibility of the AI. Because at the end of the day, agents are really to help us. Now, organizations need to ensure that whatever decisions AI is taking, right, it can be transparent. It needs to be, we need to figure out on what basis agent has taken it, and it has to take the actions responsibly. So, in your view, Arun, how are organizations doing it?
So AI will continue to do more autonomous operations. I think that's been established, right? And there is no two-way about it. Like Siddharth mentioned, whether we like it or not, that's going to happen. It's about how can we get better and how can we make sure that the actions that are taken are accurate, transparent, timely, and follow the governance. I think there is no one-size-fits-all solution here, and that's what we have been discussing. Like Vamshi mentioned in the morning, that it's a multi-step process from stage 1 to stage 7. He mentioned 7 steps there. I think observability is the solution, but the observability is not just about monitoring. I think many of you agree with me there. Observability is about the data, right? The foundational layer of data and the substrate that we have, and how clean is the data, where did we source the data, is it structured well, is the permissioning, is it sorted well. I think that's the foundational layer. Then the reasoning layer of AI, how the business logic is built into it, why it is taking certain actions, as the observability plugged into there. And finally the interaction layer or the action layer, where AI is actually taking the actions, like what's the blast radius, what kind of actions it is actually taking. So observability needs to be built on these 3 layers, and also we need to overlay with timeline as well, like what we are doing before we are deploying these agents, what we are doing while the agents are being active, and what we are doing post. Are the audit controls are there or not? I think it's a long journey, and the journey will continue, right? But I can just give a couple of practical examples the way we are dealing it right now. One is the human in the loop system. I think we have spoken enough. I will not go into the depth, but the way we are doing it is for simple actions like alert threshold changes. We are letting AIs to take the actions, mostly unobserved. But if there is a PR change or a critical production flow that is getting impacted, obviously there is a human in the loop. They will audit, and also they will check whether the AI is performing well across the system. The second technique we are using, which wasn't mentioned much, is the intelligent sampling. So the certain set of alerts come for human review, but the sampling is important, how intelligent we are kind of picking up, not a random sample. With that, we are at least trying to assess how good these agents are doing whenever they are doing automated actions. I think we can give autonomy to AI, but not without, if you are not able to observe it. Observability comes first, and then autonomy comes next.
Yes, thank you, Arun. It was very insightful. So, as organizations are moving more into autonomous operations, right? Of course, there is a risk that exists, and that's why we have the human in the loop. But what is the biggest risk, Lalit? Like, as organizations are moving from reactive operations to autonomous operations, of course, what do you think is the biggest risk?
I would say the biggest risk to me is autonomy without accountability. Right? Essentially, think it like a process or a service account that we have in our organization. Right? Every service account does some operation, but the fact is every service account also has a owner. Right? I think the same principle applies to agent. I think every agent needs to have a owner, and that accountability of whatever action that agent does lies with that owner, right? So we cannot have uncontrolled agents running all over. I think, and it's a continuous evolution. So while we are banking big on AI, as tech leaders, we also need to build in that accountability, where we are continuously seeing what the agent is doing, what is the performance management cycle of an agent. Let's put it that way, right? All of us as managers are familiar with performance management. So let's look at what is the performance management cycle of an agent, right? How many errors it solved versus how many errors it missed versus how many times you need to change, right? I think that sort of metrics needs to be built in as a dashboard, which again needs to be looked at by another agent to see the efficiency of that. So I think in a real world, the risk that I see is human becoming so dependent on agent that they lose their knowledge, right? See, at this moment, each one of us talked about human in the loop, right? Why we have human in the loop? Because we have that sort of knowledge today that if agent does a mistake, we have someone on this audience who has the wisdom, experience and skills to catch that, right? But essentially, if we become too over-dependent on that, and think about 10 years down the line, if there is no experienced developer in this room, and an agent does a coding which is trash, who's going to caught that, right? So I think as human, it is very, very important for us to keep us relevant, right? We might not be coding every day, we might not be doing testing every day, but essentially how you keep up that knowledge that you are superior to that agent, that knowledge and the wisdom that you need to retain for yourself, I think that's the biggest risk that I see when we become too comfortable with someone else doing it for us. We are in a situation where things can go out of control. So I think that's the risk that I see. Human losing its wisdom or knowledge or becoming too over-dependent on something. And I think that's the biggest risk. And accountability is another one that I would say is a risk that I see. Everyone wants to build agent, everyone wants to go fast, but if you ask in this room who will own the error of an agent, there are very few who might raise, someone might look other way, someone might just go out for lunch. so I think that's the risk that I see.
Yes, it's very, very good answer.
Based on this factor only, we can define the task, what the agent can do. We can assign a risk category itself, like high, medium, low. Based on this category, we can allocate. That's the fine.
Thank you. So I remember a joke, right? We were doing a workshop and with envisioning AI, autonomous agentic AI 2030, right? So on a lighter note, one engineer was saying, like, I would like to ask AI, like, why did this issue happen? And another engineer said, like, the AI responded saying that I optimized the system so that it's permanently unavailable. so I think that's the biggest risk, right? If you don't have the right guardrails and right autonomy placed, then we could encounter such situations and we might have to have a quantum computing to solve that. And that's the next era. Now, I think moving beyond infrastructure, right? So I think when you're talking about observability, first thing of course comes in our mind is infrastructure because that's the basic. But what matters to business is actually the revenue, the sustainability targets, right? Or customer journey targets that they have, like how we are able to meet the application or services are able to meet those targets, right? So how will observability extend beyond infrastructure to actually measure customer experience, right? The business outcome, sustainability, and actually everything that matters to the business, right? So you have any views on it, Arun?
Sure, Deepa. I can see definitely we are standing between the lunch and you. So I'll try to keep it entertaining and short. So observability needs to be at every layer, infrastructure, service interactions, customer flows, and even at the business flows, right? Business outcomes. The challenge with the business outcomes currently, we don't talk about real-time observability is because business outcomes require a lot more context. Without context, it becomes very difficult to stitch in what the human interactions on the system are, generally because they are black and white. That's why we have tons of analysts sitting in a room trying to predict and also look at the business outcomes, right? So with AI, I believe that gap will be bridged very soon because we'll be adding that AI will be able to bridge that content much faster than person, right? There's another interesting take on this that in future, I think the way we do business might change, right? Tomorrow, an agent will be running for me, and that agent knows what my health factors are, what my stress factors is, how many holidays I have, and it might automatically say, Arun, you need a holiday, I'm booking a 5-day holiday to Bali, right? And that's going to happen soon, right? And when that happens, the ticketing, the planning, and everything will be done by agent. What that means is tomorrow we are not observing more of a human traffic, but we are observing more of an agentic traffic. And when agentic traffic happens, the agent comes with a context. The human in a payment loop may have abandoned the cart for various reasons, right? He might not have enough money, or he's looking into a parallel cart. There might be many reasons, but we cannot read that right now. But when agentic commerce happens, agent would be carrying most of that context also, why it is either performing this payment or abandoning that payment. I think when that agentic commerce happens more, the observability will be much better. The business insights can happen in a real time, and the business observability, outcome observability can happen in much faster rate than what it is happening today. So that's my take. I think it's going to happen very soon. We just need to see when and when and how.
Thank you, and I want all of my fellow panel members to have one very bold prediction. Prediction AIOps Observability 2035. So if you're given an opportunity to boldly predict what observability look like in 2035 and how all the leaders in this room should be prepared for what is coming ahead at 2035, right? So what your prediction?
It's supposed to be, I can say the MTD is supposed to be in minutes, I can say. From hours it came to 30 minutes, 15 minutes, it's supposed to be fraction of seconds. Agents can be a very reactive. So that way we are planning for 9999. We can aim for 5 nines and 6 nines itself. That way the predictive observability will bring into this space, I can say.
I guess all the incidents are resolved. Even before any human could even realize. Next morning, the human comes in and he sees, okay, overnight it has resolved close to about 10 incidents, right? Nobody noticed, business did not notice, customer did not notice, internal developer did not, right? And what should you start today is work on clean data, right? Work on clean telemetry, and the other one is strong governance. I think these are the two things that we should do.
I think today we are sitting at DevOps 2.0. Maybe in 2035 it will be DevOps 4.0 or something. But the metrics still remains the same. What my fellow panelists said, that the MTTP is something that we will focus on.
I think my take will be much bolder there. I don't think we'll be talking about infra availability or infra observability anymore. By 2035, we will be talking more about agentic observability. How many rogue agents we are talking about, how many agents are good, and I think the regular observability will give away to agentic observability.
So, being the last one, I will take a different stance in that. I think 2035 to me, how the observability will look like, we will look not at mean time to resolve, we will look at how much dollars these agents have saved and how we need to reinvest that. That's my take on observability. I don't think there will be any tool that will exist at that point of time. I think it will be built as part of the platform. So it will when you build your code, you need to think of an architect about what needs to be monitored, who will fix it, and all that will be bundled into one of the platforms. So I don't think all these tools that exist today, and maybe someone from Dynatrace plant or Datadog is here, excuse me for that. I think none of the tool will exist. It will be more of a platform-based observability, and humans will be more keen to tell their boss how many dollars my agents have spent.
So whatever was basic, now it is a desired outcome, right? And I'm hoping that our next generation will not be waiting in P1 for long P1 and actually be waiting in the parking instead of P1 tickets, right? So it was a good discussion. Thank you.